Gurudas Jayādvaita Swami Niti Namine Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayādvaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamansa Paripraj Kacharya Stotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam reading with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Monday, October 20th, and we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam 4:22-43. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Guru Maharaj, would you like to begin?
Someone else can read.
Okay. I'll begin with 43. Nispaditas cha karte sneyana bhagavad vir virnalubi sadhu chistam hi me sarvam atmana sahakyam dade. Translation. My dear Brahmana, you have carried out the order thoroughly because you are also as compassionate as the Lord. It is my duty, therefore, to offer you something. But all I possess are but remnants of food taken by great saintly persons. What shall I give? Purport. The word sadhu chistam is significant in this verse. Prithu Maharaj got his kingdom from great saintly persons like Bhrigu and others, just as one gets remnants of food. After the death of King Vena, the whole world was bereft of a popular ruler. There were so many catastrophes occurring that the great saintly persons, headed by Bhrigu, created the body of King Prithu out of the body of his dead father, King Vena. Since King Prithu was thus offered the kingdom by the virtue of the mercy of great saintly persons, he did not want to divide his kingdom among saints like the Kumaras. When a father is eating food, he may, out of compassion, offer the remnants of his food to his son. Although such food may be already chewed by the father, it cannot be offered to the father again. Prithu Maharaj's position was something like that. Whatever he possessed had already been chewed, and therefore he could not offer it to the Kumaras. Indirectly, however, he offered everything he possessed to the Kumaras, and consequently they utilized his possessions in whatever way they liked. The next verse clarifies this matter. Guru Maharaj, would you like to comment?
Am I audible now?
You are audible.
Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Shapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Bhagana Raganatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Pradijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Bhagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpite Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krisha Bhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Odi Priye Vanshako Patarubhyascha Kapa Sindhu Pyevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Lord Vishnu had said that, my dear king, in some time the Kumars will come. Now they've come. And Prithu Maharaj wants to offer them something, but he says everything already belongs to you. We'll find later that actually everything belongs to the Brahmins, and this Sanat Kumar is best of the Brahmins. And specifically, Ritu Maharaj got his kingdom from the Brahmins, like Brigu and yes, the Kumars. So how can I give back to you? What can I give to you? You've given this to me, and it's sadhu chistam. It's the remnants or the food chewed by the Brahmins. So how can I give you back I can accept it, but how can I give it back? That's the idea. All right, and we'll find this elaborated in coming verses. Hare Krishna.
Adipati Prabhu, would you like to read the next text, 44?
Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Gurudas Jayādvaita Swami Namni Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namni Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharina Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashati Satarni. Pranadara Sutta Brahman Griha Cha Saparichachadaha Rajyam Balam Mahi Kosha Iti Sarvam Niveditam. The king continued, therefore, my dear Brahmanas, my life, wife, children, home, furniture, and household paraphernalia, my kingdom, strength, land, and especially my treasury are all offered unto you. Purport. In some readings, the word dara is not used, but the word used then is raya, which means wealth. In India, there are still wealthy persons who are recognized by the state as Rai. A great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was called Ramananda Rai because he was governor of Madras and very rich. There are still many holders of the title Rai, Rai Bahadur, Rai Chaudhary, and so on. The dara or wife is not permitted to be offered to the Brahmanas. Everything is offered to worthy persons who are able to accept charity, but nowhere it is found that one offers his wife. Therefore, in this case, the reading Ra is more accurate than Daraha. Also, since Prithu Maharaj offered everything to the Kumaras, the word Koshaha, treasury, need not be separately mentioned. Kings and emperors used to keep a private treasury which was known as Ratna Bhandaha. The Ratna Bhandaha was a special treasury room which contained special jewelries such as bangles, necklaces, and so on, which were presented to the king by the citizens. This jewelry was kept separate from the regular treasury house where all the collected revenues were kept. Thus, Prithu Maharaj offered his stock of private jewelry to the lotus feet of the Kumaras. It has already been admitted that all the king's property belonged to the Brahmanas, and that Prithu Maharaj was simply using it for the welfare of for the welfare of the state. If it were actually the property of the Brahmanas, how could it be offered again to them? In this regard, Sripad Siddhar Swami has explained that this offering is just like the servant's offering of food to his master. The food already belongs to the master, for the master has purchased it. But the servant, by preparing food, makes it acceptable to the master and thus offers it to him. In this way, everything belonging to Pitu Maharaj was offered to the Kumaras. Om Ajnanatimindasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So here we see Pitu Maharaj receiving the 4 Kumaras and is mentioning that my dear Brahmanas, my life, wife, children, home, furniture, and household paraphernalia, my kingdom, strength, land, and especially my treasury are all offered unto you. And then Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, comments on that Daraha, wife, cannot be offered to the Brahmanas. The word means of Daraha should be Raya, which, especially in India, is a title, respectable title given to someone who is reputable at higher in society, like Ramananda Rai was the governor of Kovur, or that area. Similarly, Rai Bahadur and other Rai Chowdhury, other titles which I used. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada comments on the treasury that no, since he's offering everything, the kosher treasury need not be separately mentioned. Right? The kings keep a separate treasury, Ratna Bhandaha, which includes gifts which are given by citizens to the king, not the treasury of the kingdom, but they have their own separate treasury where they have received gifts by the citizens. That's the, so the idea is Pitu Maharaj mentioned that as the kingdom has been received as a remnant. Right. So how can you offer it back as the remnant? And Srila Prabhupada quotes here Srila Swami Maharaj commentary, Tika, that is like the offering of the servant, offering of food to his master. Right. The food belongs to the master. It came from his wealth. But the servant is making it presentable and offering it to the master, by preparing it. So Prithu Maharaj, in that way, is offering everything to the Brahmanas and receiving the 4 Kumaras as Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. The Brahmanas has to be respected, should be received in that way. Just like we see Lord Krishna receiving Sudama Vipra in Dwarka, giving him high, sitting him on his own throne, washing his feet, and making sure that Brahmanas are well situated and they are well received in the assembly. Yeah, that's all I have. Guru Maharaj, would you like to say?
The Krishna Chakravarti Thakur comments, How did the devotees remain independent in the kingdom? After the horse sacrifice, I gave everything, such as life heirs, to them. They again gave me their remnants. So when did you give everything, kingdom, after the horse sacrifice? Now it all belongs to the Brahmins, but they've given back their remnants. So before it was said, well, I can't give this back to you, but now, yes, something is it's all being dedicated to the Brahmins. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, would you like to read? Or shall I give to another?
Another.
Radesha Prabhu, are you available?
I'm just listening today.
Saraswati Mataji, are you available?
Yes. Pranams Parampuja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. Text 45. Senapatyam cha rajyam cha dandanetratvam eva cha sarvalokadhipatyam cha vedashastra vedarhati. Translation. Since only a person who is completely educated according to the principles of Vedic knowledge deserves to be commander-in-chief, ruler of the state, the first to chastise and the proprietor of the whole planet, Prithu Maharaj offered everything to the Kumaras. Purport. In this verse, it is very clearly stated that a kingdom, state, or empire must be governed under the instructions of saintly persons and brahmanas like the Kumaras. When monarchy ruled throughout the world, the monarch was actually directed by a board of brahmanas and saintly persons. The king, as the administrator of the state, executed his duties as a servant of the brahmanas. It was not that the kings or brahmanas were dictators, nor did they consider themselves proprietors of the state. The kings were also well versed in Vedic literature and thus very familiar with the injunctions of Sri Ishopanishad, Isavasyamidam Sarvam. Everything that exists belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna also claims that he is the proprietor of all planetary systems, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Since this is the case, no one can claim to be proprietor of the state. The king, president, or head of the state should always remember that he is not the proprietor, but the servant. In the present age, the king or president forgets that he is the servant of God and thinks of himself as servant of the people. The present democratic government is proclaimed to be a people's government, a government by the people and for the people. But this type of government is not sanctioned by the Vedas. The Vedas maintain that a kingdom should be governed for the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and should therefore be ruled by a representative of the Lord. The head of a state should not be appointed if he is bereft of all Vedic knowledge. In this verse, it is clearly stated, Veda Shastra Vedarhati, that all high government posts are especially meant for persons who are well conversant with the teachings of the Veda. In the Vedas, there are definite instructions defining how a king, commander-in-chief, soldier, and citizen should behave. Unfortunately, there are many so-called philosophers in the present age who give instruction without citing authority, and many leaders follow their unauthorized instruction. Consequently, people are not happy. The modern theory of dialectical communism set forth by Karl Marx and followed by communist governments is not perfect. According to Vedic communism, no one in the state should ever starve. Presently, there are many bogus institutions which are collecting funds from the public for the purpose of giving food to starving people. But these funds are invariably misused. According to the Vedic instructions, the government should arrange things in such a way that there will be no question of starvation. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that a householder must see to it that even a lizard or a snake does not starve. They also must be given food. In actuality, however, there is no question of starvation because everything is the property of the Supreme Lord, and he sees to it that there is ample arrangement for feeding everyone. In the Vedas, Katha Upanishad 2.2.13, it is said, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. The Supreme Lord supplies the necessities of life to everyone, and there is no question of starvation. If anyone starves, it is due to mismanagement of the so-called ruler, governor, or president. It is clear, therefore, that a person who is not well versed in the Vedic injunctions, Veda Shastra Vit, should not run for election as president, governor, etc. Formerly, kings were Rajrishis, which meant that although they were serving as kings, they were as good as saintly persons because they would not transgress any of the injunctions of the Vedic scriptures and would rule under the direction of great saintly persons and brahmanas. According to this arrangement, modern presidents, governors, and chief executive officers are all unworthy of their posts because they are not conversant with Vedic administrative knowledge, and they do not take direction from great saintly persons and brahmanas. Because of his disobedience to the orders of the Vedas and the brahmanas, King Vena, Prithu Maharaj's father, was killed by the brahmanas. Prithu Maharaj therefore knew very well that it behooved him to rule the planet as the servant of saintly persons and brahmanas. Om Gyanan Timirindasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. It seems rather obvious that only qualified people should be appointed in positions of authority, power, and rulership over their fellow citizens, which includes all living entities. So these kings formerly, as has been described by Srila Prabhupada's Senapatyam, commanders-in-chief, so sort of reminds me of Senapati, are actual Kshatriyas fully trained in Astra, Shastra, and Shastra. And they were, from a very young age, the princes would be sent to a Gurukul where they received all pertinent Vedic knowledge, and they developed all the qualities that are needed to govern and rule over a kingdom. They developed all the qualities, especially of compassion, chivalry, fortitude, mercy, courage. And as Srila Prabhupada said, they were actual Raj Rishis, saintly kings. So they realized the teachings of the Vedic literature, practiced it under the guidance of a learned Guru Acharya, and they were completely qualified for those positions of authority. We know that the Brahmanas are the heads of the Varna ashram, and they are the body that would give correct instructions and guidance to the Kshatriyas, who are the arms, and would follow the directions given by the Brahmanas, and then the Vaishyas, who are the business mercantile people, would be the ones who would be involved with agriculture and businesses, banking, and such things. And then the Shudras would simply serve the higher three orders. But everybody worked with such harmony, and they knew very well that the goal and the purpose of all of working together as one body per se is so that everyone's needs are met, and there would be peace, cooperation with all the people, and everybody would be situated in working towards spiritual purification. So everybody, it wasn't that the goal of life was unknown to them. And Srila Prabhupada points out how currently in these demoniac governments, no matter what labels they work under, whether it's capitalist, communism, democratics, in the modern world, even monarchy has failed because of this reason of having unqualified non-devotees all appointed in these higher positions. They have, well, we could say most of them are atheists. They don't even believe in God, and straight off the bat, they have zero qualifications to rule over anyone. So we know that once they are not devotees, then they are going to be motivated by personal gain, name, fame, because they're completely under the control of the modes of material nature, and will care nothing for common citizens that they will falsely claim that they are actually working for. They're not really working for anyone except for themselves, really, their own agendas. And then we wonder why there's such a great disparity between those that have and those that don't. Srila Prabhupada declares there should be no starvation at all under proper management. And if there is, then it's clearly a sign of mismanagement, corruption that reigns in the form of so-called leaders. There's a saying, Kiri ka kand, hathi ka mand. From an ant that requires a small particle of sustenance to the big elephant who can eat a ton. Everyone's needs are met if everyone is ruled under the proper devotees and Brahmana guidance. So Prithu Maharaj he's the ideal ruler, and he knew that he was replaced because of his father going against all Vedic injunctions and was completely unfit to be a ruler. So he completely understands his responsibility, and he's very aware that all citizens, the purpose for life is for all conditional souls to be progressing towards Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Maharaj Shri, if you would like to say something.
Rich, see the difference between a Vedic king guided by the Brahmins and the present heads of state, and under the Rajarshis, people would be happy because everything would be arranged for their material and spiritual needs. And in the present age, everything is just theft. Hare Krishna.
Naveen Prabhu, are you available? Yes, it's which text is this one, by the way? You just read 45, so 46 now. Okay, 46. Thank you. Sainapatyam cha rajyam cha dandanitratvam evacha sarvalokadi patyam cha Veda Shastra vid arhati. Translation. Since only a person who is completely educated according to the principles of Vedic knowledge deserves to be commander-in-chief, ruler of
No, we
state.
read that. We're on the next text, 46.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Text 46. Svam eva brahmano bhunkte, svam vaste, svam dadati cha, tasyaiva nagu nanam, vanjate kshatriyadaya. Translation. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property, and give charity with their own property. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped with the words Namo Brahmanya Devaya, which indicate the Supreme Lord accepts the Brahmanas as worshipable gods. The Supreme Lord is worshipped by everyone, yet to teach others, he worships the Brahmanas. Everyone should follow the instructions of the Brahmanas, for their only business is to spread Shabda Brahma, or Vedic knowledge, all over the world. Whenever there is a scarcity of Brahmanas to spread Vedic knowledge, chaos throughout human society results. Since Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are direct servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they do not depend on others. In actuality, everything in the world belongs to the Brahmanas. And out of their humility, the Brahmanas accept charity from the Kshatriyas, or kings, and the Vaishyas, or merchants. Everything belongs to the Brahmanas, but the Kshatriya government and the mercantile people keep everything in custody, like bankers. And whenever the Brahmanas need money, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas should supply it. It is like a savings account with money which the depositor can draw out at his will. The Brahmanas, being engaged in the service of the Lord, have very little time to handle the finances of the world, and therefore the riches are kept by the Kshatriyas, or the kings, who are to produce money upon the Brahmanas' demand. Actually, the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas do not live at others' cost. They live by spending their own money, although it appears that they are collecting this money from others. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas have no right to give charity, for whatever they possess belongs to the Brahmanas. Therefore, charity should be given by the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas under the instructions of the Brahmanas. Unfortunately, at the present moment, there is a scarcity of Brahmanas, and since the so-called Kshatriyas and Vaishyas do not carry out the orders of the Brahmanas, the world is in a chaotic condition. The second line of this verse indicates that the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras eat only by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. In other words, they should not eat anything which is forbidden by the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas and Vaishnavas know what to eat, and by their personal example, they do not eat anything which is not offered first to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They eat only prasad, or remnants of the food offered to the Lord. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras should eat only Krishna prasad, which is afforded them by the mercy of the Brahmanas. They cannot open slaughterhouses and eat meat, fish, or eggs, or drink liquor, or earn money for this purpose without authorization. In the present age, because society is not guided by Brahminical instruction, the whole population is only absorbed in sinful activities. Consequently, everyone is deservedly being punished by laws of nature. This is the situation in this age of Kali. I don't have comments, but Maharaj, if you might have comments.
This is the situation. In actual Vedic culture, everything belongs to Krishna, and Krishna's direct representatives are the Brahmins. And then the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas work in the service of the Brahmins or under the direction of the Brahmins. But in the present age, the Brahmins become degraded. We find that when Shringi curses Parikshit Maharaj, what we see is degradation of the Brahmins. The Brahmins become puffed up, and then nobody respects such Brahmins, and then everything is upside down and backwards. Hare Krishna. And therefore there's a need for actual Brahmins, trained Brahmins, Brahmins who understand the science of Krishna and can give proper leadership and guidance. And the Kshatriyas can follow them and manage things properly. Then good. Hare Krishna.
Pretty Purna, Madhavi Mataji, are you available to read the next text? (47). Okay, would someone else like to volunteer?
Okay. Yar idrishi bhagavato gatiratmavada ekantato nigamabhi pratipadita na tushantvabhadra tushantvadhabra karuna swakritena nityam ko namatat pratikaroti vinodapatra. Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic knowledge, be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. Purport. Great personalities of the material world are very eager to render service, welfare service, to human society. But actually, no one can render better service than one who distributes the knowledge of spiritual realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All living entities are within the clutches of the illusory energy. Forgetting their real identity, they hover in material existence, transmigrating from one body to another in search of a peaceful life. Since these living entities have very little knowledge of self-realization, they're not getting any relief, although they're anxious to attain peace of mind and some substantial happiness. Saintly persons like the Kumaras, Narad, Prahlad, Janaka, Shukadev Goswami, and Kapil Dev, as well as the followers of such authorities as the Vaishnavacharyas and their servants, can render a valuable service to humanity by disseminating knowledge of the relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity. Such knowledge is the perfect benediction for humanity. So here, the greatest contribution is made by the Brahmins because they're giving knowledge. It's not that wealth is the greatest contribution or improved, sophisticated machines, but knowledge of the relationship between the Lord and the living entity, minus which people are unhappy. They're depressed, they're looking for peace, they're looking for happiness, but they're dissatisfied, disappointed, frustrated, or simply cruising on the wrong path. So for such unfortunate human beings, the right charity, the right gift is the gift of transcendental knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadrasham pavitram iha vidyate. Tatsvayam, what is that? Samsiddhim kalina nivindati. There's nothing more pure and more valuable than transcendental knowledge. Knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that it's impossible to repay the benefactor. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj requested the Kumaras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of Maya. The king saw that there was no other way to satisfy them for their exalted activities. Chakravarti Thakur comments on this by saying it's not possible to repay the Guru even by offering everything. And Nigamibhi means by the knowers of the Vedas. May they be satisfied by their acts of uplifting the suffering. Swapratina. Who can repay them? No one can except by offering water with folded hands in a udapatram. Therefore I fold my hands. And then Srila Prabhupada comments, the word vinodapatram can be divided into two words, vina and udapatram. So that's the explanation we just heard, that vina, without or except by an offering of water in one's home, from one's hands. Or vinodapatram can be understood as one word, vinodapatram, which means joker. A joker's activities simply arouse laughter, and a person who tries to repay the spiritual master or teacher of the transcendental message of Krishna becomes a laughingstock, just like a joker, because it's not possible to repay such a debt. The best friend and benefactor of all people is one who awakens humanity to its original Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. All right.
Okay, let's see something in the chat. Saraswati Mataji writes, Krishna also admitted to the gopis that he cannot repay them and their unlimited love for him, and to simply be happy of their deeds.
Yes. We'll read the next verse.
We have Chalatala Mashi, are you available? Okay, now we have a hand. So we can take hand. Saraswati Mashi.
Guru Maharaj, we've read previously how the Brahmanas actually own everything. And sometimes we hear that those who are descendants of bona fide Brahmanas, they may themselves not necessarily be as qualified as their ancestors, but their claim could also be that, well, you know, if people are offering things to us or go out of their way to provide for our livelihood, then that's already owed to us because of our ancestors. Is that correct then?
No, it's almost correct. You could be the qualified recipient of charity. You could be the qualified distributor of Vedic knowledge. You have the opportunity because you're born in that family. Just like someone born in a medical family, at the dinner table, the talk may be about medicine, and the son may advance in a medical career, but he has to do it. He can't just say, well, you know, I learned everything at the dinner table. I don't have to do the medical studies or pass the exam. It will be easier for you, but you have to do it. You can't just claim qualification by virtue of birth. But birth gives you the opportunity to advance in that qualification. Yeah. But you have to, what's the word? It's like startup capital. You know, you're given startup capital, but you can't just sit on the capital and say, I've got a successful business. You have to invest the capital and do something. Then everybody will say, yes, he did something. So the son of the Brahmin has the opportunity. He has the startup capital of that Brahminical background, but now you have to do your business. If you don't do the business, and what is it? So the Brahmins have to know, they have to be learned in transcendental knowledge, and they have to be able to distribute transcendental knowledge. And then they can claim, yes, everything belongs to us. Of course, they don't make that claim because they have transcendental knowledge. They claim that everything belongs to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we have time for, let's see, one more. Let me look at how long it is. 48 now. Okay, yeah. Chalatala Machi, are you available?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm available. Maitreya Uvacha Ta'atma Yoga Pataya Adirajena Pujitaha Shilam Tadiyam Shansanta Kepavan Mishatam Rinam. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus worshipped by Maharaj Prithu, the 4 Kumaras who were masters of devotional service became very pleased. Indeed, they appeared in the sky and praised the character of the king, and everyone observed them. Purport. It is said that the demigods never touch the surface of the earth. They walk and travel in space only. Like the great sage Narada, the Kumaras do not require any machine to travel in space. There are also residents of Siddhaloka who can travel in space without machines. Since they can go from one planet to another, they are called Siddhas. That is to say, they have acquired all mystic and yogic powers. Such great saintly persons who have attained complete perfection in mystic yoga are not visible in this age on earth because humanity is not worthy of their presence. The Kumaras, however, praise the characteristics of Maharaj Prithu and his great devotional attitude and humility. The Kumaras were greatly satisfied by King Prithu's method of worship. It was by the grace of Maharaj Prithu that the common citizens in his domain could see the Kumaras flying in outer space. I don't have any comment. Perhaps Maharaj does.
Of course, they're siddhas, they have all mystic perfections. But the Prabhupada makes the main point that because of Prithu Maharaj's qualifications, his devotion, his humility, the Kumaras were pleased to appear there. If you think about the modern heads of state, what saintly person would want to be associated with these rogues and rascals? But if they were humble, if they were sincere in wanting to serve the citizens, if they were submissive to Brahminical direction, the saintly persons would be so willing to guide them. But the heads of state are rogues, and the so-called Brahmins are untrained and incapable. And so we have incompetent leaders and unhappy citizens. Hare Krishna.
Okay, time for Kirtan. Krishna Konteya Prabhu, are you available for Kirtan?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora, Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo, Nita, Gora Premanandi Haribo, Maha Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimati Gurudas Swami Iti Namine, Maha Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine, Maha Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane, Nirvisesha Shunyavadi, Pasachade Shadane, all glories to the seven devotees, all glories to the seven devotees, all glories to the seven devotees. Jai Sri Guru Angaranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Haribol, Haribol, Haribol.
Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare